We are outside the map, and this is not the Sicily you think you know. Forget crowded beaches, Instagram-worthy cannoli, and the busy streets of Palermo. Here, there's no noise. There are ruins, wind, silence. This is the other Sicily, the one that doesn't appear in brochures, the one still caught in time, covered in grass, stone, and memory. Greece, Rome, Arabs, Normans, they all passed through here and left their mark. And the best part? Almost nobody comes to see it. On this journey, we're not going to show you the usual, nor what you've already seen 1,000 times. We're after what's left on the sidelines: empty villages, forgotten temples, paths that lead nowhere, or everywhere. All of it still here, waiting. And this time, it's waiting for you. In Sicily, there are villages where the clock seems to have taken a permanent vacation. Here, no one builds anymore, no one rushes, they just wait. They wait for someone to discover them, for someone to listen. These are villages holding tight to their stones and the wind, where stories aren't found on signs or in museums, but in the eyes of those who still remain. Every empty street is a space waiting for you to fill it with your own story. Every closed door hides a world. And if you pay attention, you'll see that time hasn't left. It just took its time moving slowly, very slowly. This is what we call villages caught in time. And here, we're going to show them to you. Savoca. There are villages where it seems time forgot to pass, and then there's Savoca, where it seems time never even showed up. Hidden among mountains in northeastern Sicily, this stone village became famous for an unexpected reason. It was a key location in The Godfather. Michael Corleone's wedding was filmed in its small church, and today you can grab a drink at the very same table in Bar Vitelli, where he once sat. But Savoca isn't just a movie set. It's a town that takes things slow. Worn doors, moss-covered stairs, and viewpoints that show the sea like a distant memory. Behind every closed window, there's a story. Some houses are empty, others still lived in by grandparents watching from their balconies. Savoca feels frozen in time, but if you stay a while and listen, you'll notice something still alive there, like an old movie that never quite finished shooting. Montalbano e Licona. At the top of a hill, nestled between mountains and clouds, lies Montalbano e Licona, one of Sicily's best-preserved medieval villages. The name sounds like a spell, and that's no coincidence. This place looks like it stepped right out of an old fairy tale. Stone houses, narrow streets winding down the hillside, and a Norman castle that has been watching over everything for almost 1,000 years. Stepping into Montalbano feels like traveling back in time. No cars, no neon lights, no rush. Just worn doors, cats soaking up the sun, and the feeling that a Templar knight could show up any minute. From up high, the silence is complete. Only the wind rings the church bells. And when the fog rolls in, the village vanishes like a magic trick. They say the castle hides secrets of King Frederick II, an astronomer and alchemist. But the real mystery is how a place like this remains such a well-kept secret. Sambuca di Sicilia. Right in the rural heart of Sicily, Sambuca di Sicilia became famous for something unexpected: selling houses for €1. The idea was to revive a village that had almost lost its people. The streets had fallen silent, the squares empty of footsteps, and the only thing left was the echo. But Sambuca isn't just a viral headline. It's a Baroque gem that refuses to disappear. With wrought iron balconies, quiet churches, and sunsets that paint its facades with soft golden light. There's no mass tourism here, just a real village with walls marked by time. Some buildings are empty, others are starting to come back to life through restoration. Life returns slowly, like a plant growing in a crack. Those who bought houses looking for a change found more than just walls. A slow rhythm, stories whispered by the elders, and the smell of freshly baked bread on every corner. Sambuca hangs suspended between the past and what's still to come. Sicily doesn't tell just one story. It has a bunch, all layered on top of each other, carved in stone and buried underground. It was Greek, Roman, Arab, Norman, and in certain corners, those traces are still there, barely disturbed by tourists. Covered in moss and defying oblivion, these aren't just ruins. They're memories refusing to disappear, waiting for someone to take the time to uncover them. Morgantina. Right in the heart of Sicily, among dry fields and lonely hills, lie the ruins of Morgantina, a Greco-Roman city that hardly anyone bothers to visit. Founded more than 2,000 years ago, it passed from the Sicile hands to Greek and then Roman. It had theaters, baths, temples, and then silence took over. Today, only scattered stones, fallen columns, and scattered remains are left. But if you dare to look closely, you can trace the map of its streets, the forum, even a bread oven frozen in time. Morgantina was left behind, overshadowed by more modern cities. And its treasures were stolen to end up in museums around the world. But the best part is right there, under the sun and dust. The feeling of walking on pure history, with no crowds, just you and centuries of the past. Cava d'Ispica. Southeast of Sicily, between Modica and Ispica, lies a valley that feels like it's from another planet, the Cava d'Ispica. This long, narrow canyon hides thousands of years of history carved into its walls. Caves, tombs, shelters, churches, and even entire houses dug into the rock. Some date back to the Bronze Age, others passed through Byzantine and Norman hands. And until recently, farmers lived here without light or water, at their own pace. The Cava is a mix of archaeology and wild nature. Roots breaking through ancient doors, moss erasing inscriptions, wind slipping through passageways where centuries ago people prayed, ate, and cried. It's not a place for selfies or rushed tourists. Here, it's just you, the silence and the stone, no maps or signs telling you what to do. The Cava d'Ispica is an open scar in the earth, but also a living story of people who managed to leave their mark, literally carved into the rock. Villa Romana del Casale. Near Piazza Armerina, in the heart of Sicily, there's a gem that doesn't look like much from the outside, the Villa Romana del Casale. A group of ruins covered with modern roofs that don't prepare you for what you'll see inside. Because here lies one of the most impressive Roman mosaics in the world. Over 3,500 square meters of almost intact images. Scenes of everything. Hunts, daily life, gods, and myths. And even women in bikinis playing sports, something you wouldn't expect in a 4th century villa. Each room feels like stepping into an ancient comic book, with details so clear they look like frescoes, not 1,600-year-old mosaics. Thanks to a flood that buried and protected them, these mosaics have reached us almost perfectly preserved. And you can still walk through almost alone, almost in silence, stepping on catwalks over pure history. It's not just another ruin, it's a window into Roman luxury and everyday life, and a well-kept secret, at least off-season. Climbing high in Sicily isn't just about scaling mountains or gaining altitude. It's about changing your perspective and discovering a whole new world. The villages clinging to the peaks don't just offer stunning views. They bring silence, distance, and a quiet kind of resilience that's easy to miss, but always there. Up there, time seems to follow its own pace, like it's ready to take a break. What remains isn't just stone or old houses, but a way of living through forgetfulness with style and no rush. Because at those heights, history doesn't shout, it whispers. And sometimes that's exactly what you need to truly understand it. Erice. At 750 meters above sea level, caught between fog and stone, lies Erice, a medieval town that seems suspended in the clouds. From afar, it looks like a fortress floating in the air. Up close, it's a maze of cobblestone alleys, secret courtyards, and walls that smell of ancient history. Erice isn't new to this. It was founded by the Elymians, even before the Greeks thought about arriving. Later came the Phoenicians, Carthaginians, and Normans, each leaving their mark. But what you really feel here is a strange, almost mystical atmosphere. When the fog rolls in, the town vanishes like a ghost. And when the sun comes out, it offers views stretching all the way to the sea and the salt flats of Trapani. There's a castle dedicated to Venus, built on top of a pagan temple. But the most sacred thing here isn't just in the stones, it's in the silence. Climbing up to Erice means changing your Sicily, a place where words are unnecessary and time seems to have stayed up here forever. Castelmola, right next to the touristy Taormina, but on a completely different planet, is Castelmola. This little village literally hangs off the mountain, with views that stretch across the entire Ionian coast, and on clear days, you can even make out the silhouette of Mount Etna. Getting there isn't for everyone. Hairpin turns everywhere, narrow roads, and the feeling that time stretches the higher you climb. But the real reward isn't what you see, it's what you feel. Peace, fresh air, and an authenticity that Taormina lost a long time ago. The houses are simple, the squares peaceful, and the streets almost deserted. But what hits hardest is that feeling of being above it all. Above the noise, the tourism, and even the present itself. At the top, there's a ruined castle. There's not much left, but the views are legendary. They say from there you can see 3 times at once. The past in the old stones, the present down on the coast, and the future wrapped in fog floating over Etna. Castelmola stands firm, silent, as if it doesn't care whether it's discovered or not. And that's exactly what makes it special. Poggioreale Soprana. High up in the Madoni Mountains, Poggioreale Soprana perches on the edge as if ready to take off. It's the highest village in Sicily, and also one of the quietest. Forget about beaches, train stations, or tourist postcards. Here, there's only stone, wind, and a kind of solitude that doesn't overwhelm but relaxes. From above, you can see mountains rising and falling, olive groves, and fields that seem to be sleeping. The houses are simple, many empty, and the only real clock is the church bells ringing at their own pace. Poggioreale was once a key place for soldiers, pilgrims, and traders. Today, what lingers is forgetfulness, and the occasional curious traveler. What impresses most is the contrast between the vast landscape and the small village, as if the world spins down below, and Poggioreale just watches it all without hurry. Here, everything moves slower, older, simpler, and precisely because of that, more authentic. Some places didn't die, they just stood still. They were villages, houses, lives. Today, they are ruins, emptiness, but watch out, they still breathe. Flowers grow through cracks, and sunlight slips in where roofs no longer exist. Nature moves forward, humanity recedes. And in that clash between abandonment and beauty, there's something that still says, "Here I am, don't forget me completely." Poggioreale. In western Sicily, among dry hills and dusty olive trees, lies Poggioreale, a ghost town that seems to have stopped right at the moment of disaster. In 1968, an earthquake destroyed it. Since then, it has remained like an urban skeleton. Houses without roofs, cracked squares, churches split in half. There are no guides or tourists, only the wind slipping through broken windows. Walking through its empty streets is like entering a frozen memory. An abandoned school, a pharmacy with faded letters, a house with furniture covered in dust and cobwebs that seem to be waiting for someone to return. But there is beauty in that abandonment, in the door that no longer has a wall and the tree growing among broken tiles. Poggioreale didn't disappear, it just became a mirror of fragility, impermanence, and what we leave behind. Don't come to Sicily looking for perfect postcards. Come to listen, to slow your pace, to look exactly where almost no one looks. Traveling isn't just about adding kilometers, it's also about learning to stay still, to observe without stepping hard, to find what's not on maps, rankings, or stories. These places aren't empty sets, they are living spaces. Even if they're broken, in ruins, or seem asleep, they keep breathing. And if we show them, it's not to fill them with tourists, but so they keep being there, resisting, being refugees of the soul of a land that's been turning for centuries. We're not looking for monuments to photograph. We're looking for signs, cracks through which light still sneaks in. Voices whispering from walls no one listens to. Earth, stone, wind. Sometimes, the most valuable thing isn't what shines, but what survives. If this made you see with different eyes, stay close. There are many more corners like this, and we're ready to keep walking toward them. Slowly, without a map, and with wide open eyes.